real success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the hit streak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hit Streak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and today I've got an extra special treat for you today. He's joining me all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. Folks, he is the executive sales manager of the Elliott Group. Folks, check it out. Well, help me in welcoming Danny Klein. Danny, how we doing, baby?
Doing amazing. It's awesome to be on here. It's awesome to be able to pour into your community and just celebrate some wins and drop some bombs and just have some fun, man. I've been with Andy for about 3 years, so I'm excited to get into it.
Man, it's incredible, and I can't say enough about Andy and his amazing wife, Jackie. It's been a pleasure to get to know them. One of the top performing episodes that we've ever had on the show was when Andy was the guest. He brought the freaking noise, as he does day in and day out. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been with him. Have you been with him longer than anybody else?
I've been with him. So it was about Sean Pollard was the first one to come on. Sean Pollard, our VP. And then we had the Macklin twins, and then me and a couple others followed suit. About four or five others followed suit very soon after. Man, that was in Oklahoma before we even came down to Scottsdale, Arizona. Wow.
Well, dude, we got a lot to talk about. I can't wait to hear more about that story. Right. So, first of all, let's remind everybody, most people know who the Elliott Group are. If they've been, I don't know if they've logged on to any social media platform or been on the internet, they've probably seen you guys because it's been total domination. It's been absolutely impressive and done, in my opinion, exactly the right way. Tell us about the Elliott Group.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked, man. We are the number one and the fastest growing sales training company, not only in the country, but I would say in the world, month over month. We've just been growing. Company did just about $100 million last year, coming from literally doing, the last 3 or 4 years, really just making that come up and starting. Andy and us, we really got our start in the automotive business. I sold cars. All of our core guys came from the car business. And we got about 50, 60 guys now. And just really trying to elevate. We're going into different industries. We're building out a lot of things for solar, for insurance, for software sales. We're really just developing new things, really diving into the leadership space, just trying to bleed in and help everybody, man.
Well, I've got right here 2 words that I hear multiple times. It's something that Andy and I had talked about when I was with them when we were with them in St. Thomas. And the 2 words are total recreation. And I feel like you guys are, I feel like you should patent it at this point or trademark it or something, because nobody else should be able to use it like you guys can, right? So what does that mean for you? Because I know you've experienced it.
It makes my heart warm that you said that. I have that actually written down right here on a piece of paper, total recreation. So I'm really glad that you asked about that, man. The definition of total recreation is the ability to alter and change your identity. Me at 19 years old, I came from delivering Chinese food, college dropout, just came from nothing, and got into the car business, went from making $3,000 a month, found this guy, Andy Elliott, on YouTube, started watching some videos, and went to making $20,000 a month consistently. 9 months later, flew out to come and work for him, and it's this never-ending version of growth and just trying to chase this elite version of yourself.
I think it was Nick Saban. I told my son to his baseball team at practice the other day, everybody at the end of the day has 5 choices. You have the choice to be bad at something. You have the choice to be average at something. You have the choice to be good at something. You have the choice to be excellent at something, and you have the choice to be elite at something. And but to be excellent or elite, it takes a special set of skills and dedication and buy-in and all these things because that's just, it takes what it takes, right? And it's so hard getting people to understand that sometimes, isn't it? Like, what are you guys' thoughts on like why like you think most people would come in wanting those things and kind of understanding what the ingredients are. If I wanted to make a pizza, I would know I need to at least figure out some crust and some cheese and maybe some sauce, right? Why are the ingredients so like unknown?
I think a lot of people, it's just they get paralyzed with fear and indecision. Like a lot of people know what to do, but they don't do what they know. Right? You can go on YouTube just like I did, and you can find information, specific information on whatever you're looking for. And it's one of those things where if you want to grow, you'll go and get it. And I always make the example of like, for all those people that aren't going and getting it, or they're not going and putting in the effort to go and learn or chase the different material, it's just because you just don't want it that bad. If you really wanted the money that you say that you can have, then you'd be going to get it. And it's that simple. I'm very big on execution over perfection. There isn't any perfect recipe to anything, but a lot of people, they just don't start, and they're trying to find the perfect mentor, the perfect program, perfect seminar. They're waiting for the perfect setup for their computers to start making sales. They're waiting for the new iPhone to make new videos and YouTube content. They're waiting for the better mic and camera. When in reality, every one of the greats just started, and they figured out the rest of the details later. I always make the example of if two guys were running a race, and there was one guy that was worried about running that perfect pace, right? He was worried about keeping his breath nice, shoes perfect and tied, nice and tight, and they're running on a mountain. Well, there's one guy that'd be worried about not tripping and falling and having his shoes get untied. And there'd be another guy that was running, falling, tripping, fucking shoes untied, shoes falls off, but he's running so fast because he's just focused on executing he's focused on the target at hand, not tripping and scraping, but they're so worried about what happens, what if, the fear of what happens if I mess up.
That's right.
And the biggest fear, I believe, should be what happens if you stay the same? What happens if you don't win? What happens if you don't go and execute fast? Someone else will beat you to it.
There is it's got a lot like a new pair of shoes, man. You know your old pair of shoes are beat up. They're not going to get you to their next destination. But then you get those new shoes, and they're not comfortable, are they? You got to break them in. You got to get used to them. And you got to go through that uncomfortable portion, because the old shoes are comfortable, but they're not going to take you where you got to go, right? So that uncomfortable feeling is absolutely required. I've heard a little bit about your story from time to time about how just through some of the stuff you've been posting, folks. Check it out. If you're not following Danny on Instagram, it's official Danny Klein. Their website is Elliott247.com. You need to keep up. I'm about to reference what I've seen on social. Tell me about the person you were before you had your recreation.
Yes. So I'll start with when I was a kid. I had divorced parents growing up. I had an older brother, about 10 years, older sister of 8 years older, right? So my brother is 34 now. Sister is 28, right? And it's one of those things where I didn't have a whole lot growing up. My parents were always working, single mom, single dad. They split when I was about 8 years old, and was always just figuring out. I was always just a very independent kid. Fast forward, go to college, and ended up just dropping out. Wasn't really for me. I'm sitting in the classes, and I feel like I'm back in high school. I feel like the people around me aren't in this same realm of where my brain was going. And I'm this entrepreneurial mindset. I was knocking doors, mowing lawns. I was reselling sneakers. In 5th grade, I literally would have my mom go and buy the cool little eraser tops and the pencil grips, stuff from the school store. And how I got the idea is I figured if I could have cooler stuff from the school store and I could have it cheaper, that I could go in and I could sell. And I literally put them out of business. I had them coming to my 5th grade class, and they shut it down because I had quarters. The old pencil holder in the bottom of the desk. Yeah, I had quarters side to side, and I don't know however old I was in 5th grade, but that was It was a lot of money for me. But I came from, I used to smoke a whole lot of weed, just a lot of drug use, just drinking. And not that I had necessarily had a whole lot of addictions or anything like that, but I was just very lost as an 18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Partying. I'm watching videos from guys like Gary V. I hadn't found Andy Elliott yet, but Gary's like, go and try some stuff. Like, just his message was just resonating with me, the empathy, the self-love, just from kind of being alone, not necessarily being alone growing up, but in my mind, right? I don't have the mother or the father. I don't have the family dinners, traditional kind of thing growing up, but dropped out, started delivering Chinese food. Did that for about a little less than a year. So I'm literally delivering Chinese food because when I dropped out, I wasn't doing anything for a few months and literally was playing video games, doing nothing, drinking, smoking, just complete loser. Lost my entire identity. We talked about identity, and my identity was lost. I had gone down this dark rabbit hole, and I ended up finding one of my buddies that I used to wrestle with in high school. I was a wrestler, wrestled for about 8 years of my life, and we're working out. And he's like, "Oh man, what's up, man? How you been? What are you doing?" And I'm embarrassed. "Oh man, I'm delivering Chinese food." And he tells me that he's selling cars and that he made $15,000 the previous month. And he is 18 years old. And I was the head coach of the varsity wrestling team. And he was JV. And I used to mentor this kid. And I'm like, oh my God. It was one of those moments where I felt like I was a dad, like almost in like a dad to him because he was a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
And I was just so embarrassed. And I said, "Dude, if you show me a check for $15,000, I will go and I will quit my job and I will come work for you." Wolf of Wall Street moment. And that's exactly what happened. I got in and didn't see any of those checks for about 6 months. I thought I was going to go in and kick some ass. And that's the exact opposite of what actually happened. I got in and got a reality check from what the real world was like because I was used to winging stuff my entire life. Winging it, finding my way into situations and just figuring things out as I went. And I realized that wasn't going to get me the money that I was trying to obtain. Looked up Andy Elliott on YouTube, watched 3 videos. The very next day, I made my first $1,500 commission. Reached out, I texted him. We got on the phone. I said, "Thank you." Long story short, I booked a seminar ticket to one of his first master closer seminars in Oklahoma. 20 people. And I know for those of you that have been following the Elliott Group, we get about 300 people every single month that fly out to our conference room here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I was one of the first 20 people. We worked out in his driveway. We had the entrepreneur party the night before in his house with him and Jacqueline and a few others. Jacob Hagerman was there from our team. Jesse Cloud is also with us. It's funny to see the journey. But fast forward all the way to last year, just cleared just under $1 million in commissions with Andy Elliott. Have done a full 360, not only financially in the business, helping grow and build our team, growing up into these different divisions in our company, and just being more confident. Muscle mass, put on 25 pounds of muscle. And this has been a 3 to 4 year transformation, doing a full 360 from Chinese delivery.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible, man. Tell me about, I know you guys are big on fitness and how that ties into your performance. I believe in that wholeheartedly myself, coming from a sports background, right? So as a matter of fact, it's something that I got to do early in the morning just to kick off the day. There's nothing better than before everybody else gets started, you've already feel like you've kicked the days behind. You know what I'm saying? Just because you got something in, you've already got a win underneath your belt and you got momentum.
Yeah. So there's 3 things that Andy always says. It's physical, mental, business. We believe that the physical comes before all. And if I'm able to go and pay the rent and do the hard work, and I can also not only sharpen my mind, because a healthy body supports a healthy mind, sharp mind. Well, if I look at myself, if I'm on Zoom all day, if I'm asking people to, make transactions with me, and they have to, they're weighing my conviction. They're judging the way that I look, the way that I upkeep myself.
Yeah.
And if I can increase the chances of anything of influencing and persuading people, if I look sharp, I look disciplined. Not only do I look disciplined, I feel disciplined, and I sound disciplined. And if that's what I'm trying to teach people, if that's what we preach, then it's a lot easier when they can see it flat out. I don't even need to say anything. You can say, "This guy's disciplined from what these guys are saying online." I don't even need to hear him speak. I can tell based off of his stature, based off of the way his face is. You can tell if somebody is eating clean, if they're in the gym, if they're taking care of themselves. It's very important in sales because we're being judged 24/7.
Yeah.
You're being judged right out of the gate. So it's important. The first impression is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite things that we kind of say around here is, and I want to get your thoughts on it, is, and it comes from my buddy, the great Hunter Bledsoe. And he said, life is fair. Everybody's price is just different. What do you think about that?
Life is fair. Everybody's price is just different. Everybody has, I believe everyone has a different hand of cards. They have a different situation, but some people aren't willing to pay the price required to be successful. And I believe every perception has a big thing to do with this, because a lot of people think that they may be working hard, or they think that they're paying the price. But in reality, they just haven't understood that this is another level that they may not understand, whether that's getting better in your physical again, or understanding that when you're growing a business that you have to delegate, and now that leadership skill. A lot of people will blame on different things on, my people, I can't get my people to sell like you guys, man. If I could just do that. Well, there's no accountability there. Leadership is that next skill that you have to learn to be able to get your people to grow. But yeah, a lot of people just aren't willing to pay the price required to go and hit their dreams. And some people are just really unaware, and it's going to require 10 times more work than you can ever imagine to be able to go hit the goals that you're trying to go and hit. A lot of people think that they can coast their way through, that they can pick up the phone, call the leads, and they're going to close at the perfect ratio that everyone's going to pick up, that the days are going to be consistent. You got to realize that, if you're in it for the long game, then the whatever the price is, figure it out and go and make the payment.
That's right.
Go and pay the rent.
Isn't it crazy how you see a lot of people let their circumstances define them, right? And it's crazy, those circumstances, like, they put limits. All a limit is a belief of something that you have that you can't do, right? Like, the limits that I have, like, I put them there, right? So my dad used to always say, like, you got to push your limits because you're the one that gave them to yourself, right? And so we have I was telling Ethan's baseball team on Sunday that like, there's a little triangle that affects everything. So let me see if I can get this right. So the way that you think affects the way that you feel, and the way that you feel affects what you do, and then what you do affects the way that you think. So it's a triangle, like, right there, right? So, like, do you guys find a lot that people, like, will sit there and come in and fight for and defend all the limits that they've set for themselves, like, oh, you're bullshit, you can't, I can't do this and that, and so on and so forth?
That's so funny you say that. So you remind me of a specific example. I was on the phone with the kid yesterday, and he reaches out, and he was texting Andy. And his last text before he said, hey, Danny, can you give this guy a call? Is he said, I want to train. I want to get better. I want to unleash the skills of one of the top sales trainers in the country, something along the lines of that. And I called him, and he's been in the car business for a year and a half. He had just left and was trying to go back in. And he was saying, oh, well, all the car dealerships around here are, they require experience. They require experience. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, yeah, well, I went in and I talked to him. I said, how many did you talk to? I talked to 2. I said, well, it's not enough. What city are you in? I'm like, there's 30 dealerships in your city. You've talked to 2. And you've now put this upper glass ceiling on yourself about it. Then once I talked to him about that, then he would say, oh, well, no one has cars. No one has cars. So, I just don't know about the market. And, I got to make sure that, I do my research too as well. And I'm like, what are we having a conversation about here? We said right here that we want to level up. You're obviously, watching Andy, and you believe that you can do more. And again, it's arguing. He's arguing with himself, because that's the belief that he put on himself. And I got into the conversation of, dude, unless you change your perception on what is available in this world, there's nothing that Andy, me, our entire team, the rest of this world can give it to you if you're not open to receiving it. It's literally, have you ever seen those little kid games where you try to put the shape inside of the box? Imagine if you were trying to put a shape in the box, but the box didn't have any hole in it, and you're just doing this. That's what some of you guys are doing. You're trying to put the shape in the box, but your brain is the analogy of the box. It's never going to go in unless you create that reality that is whatever it may be for you. I think in abundance. And I'm like, man, I got hired with no experience. I also worked for a guy. I had a guy that had he had an ankle bracelet on, and he the used car manager that I got hired with, and this was a big Toyota store. And not to go off on the rails, but like his perception was wherever I go, if I'm the best, I can go and get hired. And like he created his own reality, regardless of whatever happened in the past. And then you got a kid that's 20 years old on his own that has nothing holding him back. And you would see guys that are 56 years old that would give their arms and their legs just to have this youth again, just to have the perception, the mindset. And your perception is literally everything. And you'll never get what you want out of life unless you change that. A lot of people think it's a motivation or a hype game, but it's like your peripheral vision. You've gone from your what you're seeing in this world is just little tunnel vision, and you can't see anything else around you. You can't see further out. You can only see the hand in front of your face, and that's all you'll ever see unless you make that adjustment to the rest of the world.
You know, I believe that really nobody's undefeated, man. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's undefeated really in anything. There's only one perfect person that ever walked this earth, and that was Jesus Christ himself. So we're all imperfect. And but like, I think the greatest fighters are not the ones that get hit the least, or just the ones that can get up the most times, right? So I was brought up in an old school, and a story about that's been told to me about my father was this, you know, when he was a teenager, somebody was in his face and giving him a hard time. And the guy looked at my dad and said, "I'm going to kick your ass." And my daddy's buddy said, "I don't know if you want to do that." And he looked at him, he said, "What, you don't think I can take him?" He goes, "Oh, maybe so, but it's going to take you all day."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, walk me through, like, you see the same overcoming moment within just about everybody, where they hit that first wall and then that second and that third wall. And you guys have done an unbelievable job of converting people to push through those moments, right? So what are some of those things that you see? Because folks, like I tell people, like during open enrollment every year for insurance, the agents always like, they're getting some declines on underwriting, stuff like that. And they're always like, they always start playing the victim. They're like, "Do you think that maybe they don't like me? You know, maybe they got it out for me." And I'm like, bro, like, first of all, don't, like, that's selfish. Like, you ain't that important that a whole company would target you. You know what I'm saying? A $1 billion company would target you, right? So let's not make it like that. What do you see? What do you see when you see people overcoming these things over and over and over again, especially in the beginning?
Well, I just believe that, like, you're going to grow into anything. I mean, I'll give you an example. When I was a wrestler, who talked about being a wrestler, I lost in the first round of states for 3 years in a row. Now, I was a great wrestler and I was a good wrestler, but I overthought, and you know, maybe I didn't train enough or whatever it was, but I lost in the first round of everything. And I always hold that true, because you can't go back high school. I can't go back. And I have won some big tournaments, but when it came down to the Mac Daddy state champion ring, never lived up to the expectation that I had set for myself, and that, you know, was available. Being seated in the top 3, never even hitting where I was seated at in the tournament for my weight class. But I lost every single time, and I carry that over into my life now, of knowing that, like, no matter what you've been through, how many times that you've been knocked down, you can still carry that. I think that lesson was more valuable than anything, than any ring or any material trophy. That lesson that it taught me to be able to push through, and now, you know, just get back up. The most successful people they're not perfect people. They're not the smartest. They're not the best looking. They're never really perfect in every single area. They're just people that just get up. They never quit. They never stop. They subconsciously believe deep down that they have something to give this world, that they believe that they're, you know, almost even a little bit better than everybody else. Because when you're so obsessed, when you're getting knocked down, to be able to get back up and up and up, there's your mindset, there's strength, there's all these things that can come into play when you're fighting the fight, the brains, my skills. But that pure grit is what's going to get you through working the later hours. It's going to push you through to working your weekends. That grit is what's going to drive you to be successful. Not all the other special skills that you think are going to drive you to be successful. It's the pure grit. That's the backbone to absolutely everything in your life, and especially in business.
Do you see, like, you know, a lot of times when you're talking about that grit, you know, you'll sit there. So somebody would sit in front of me and they tell me what they wanted, and I was like, cool, here's the roadmap on how to get there and what that's going to look like. And, you know, in the beginning, it's always the hardest and requires the most, just like raising a human being. For goodness sakes. You know what I'm saying? Like my daughter needs more when she's super young than she will when she's 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? At least if we raise her right, that's the way it's going to be. You know, so one of the first things that comes to mind when people are like, oh man, you know, I got kids and so on and so forth. You know, I don't know if I can run that schedule. And it's like, but it's not permanent. It's temporary. And they're like, well, how long is it going to take? And my answer is always like, I don't know. You want to find out? You know, like that's what I want to know is, do you really want to find out? Because nothing we're going through is permanent. Everything can be changed. You can fix anything. You can make it better and you can make it yours. Right. So do you guys see that too?
I see it all day, every day. I always ask people because I get everything under the sun, being on the phones every single day with our entire team. You get people that are going to give you, oh, I can't do this. Got to talk to my wife. I got to see if this is going to work. How long is it going to take? Just being skeptical. And it all boils down to the question of, how bad do you really want it? How bad do you really want it? And the only other variable is, do you believe that Andy and our team can help you? And if we're a testament to how fast, we call it compressing timeframes, how fast you can get things done, the social proof of the people that we're working with, the social proof of just watching the growth, right? And you can say, oh, I'm not sure if that's going to work for me. Well, you know, you're never going to know until you you apply yourself.
That's right. That's right. All right. So I have so much fun, folks. Once again, we're with the executive sales manager of the Elliott Group, Danny Klein. You can check him out on social at official Danny Klein and on the web at Elliott247.com. So so I have a cheat sheet here, right? Then that everybody's kind enough to send in. I've got the stuff that we're going to go through and talk about. And selfishly, I have an agenda too. And there's things that I want to talk about, right? So I'm going to get back to the sheet just a little bit. But before I do, maybe the one or two people in the world that haven't heard of the Elliott Group out of the 8 or 9 billion that are, let's talk about all the ways in which folks can come and hang out with you guys. Because I know you have events, you've got online courses, you've got podcasts, you got books, you got everything, right? So tell me about all the places that people can like go check out what you guys are doing. I mean, there's book after book after book. It's incredible.
Yeah, so we're on YouTube, and if you look up Andy Elliott on YouTube, we're dropping sales training videos almost every single day to be able to get your hands on free content, get a better understanding of what we do, how we teach, the specifics of what we teach on, so you can kind of get an idea of what you'd be getting into. So we have our YouTube, we have our in-person events out here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have them every single month. We have events for entrepreneurs. We have events for leaders. We have a leadership event tomorrow. We got about 100 people flying in from the solar industry, from insurance, from the car business, from all industries. We have automotive specific events, insurance specific events. We have events with Brad Lee. So we got it all going on in terms of, if you're looking to get in front of some actual sales training events where you're sitting down with a pen, a piece of paper, you're live in the fire. That's our type of style. There's a lot of different speaking events where you can go and you can listen to people speak and tell stories on how they were successful and, you know, maybe chase for some gold nuggets. All we do is we're going to teach you the actual strategies of maybe the objections on generating more leads, on the mindset, on building the business, whatever it may be. We're big on it. I know, see, if you look right back here, we got Tactical Thursday. I'm big on tactical stuff to go on to make more money. So we got YouTube, official Andy Elliott on YouTube. On Instagram, official Danny Klein on Instagram, and then Elliot 24/7. You can check out all of our events coming up. And if you guys want to, you can shoot me a text at 540-840-3241. If you want some information on what events we got coming up, what courses that we have an all access, basically platform. It gives you all access on a monthly membership with a couple different levels with all of our content that we ever released. Make it very easy for people to jump in there, be on our live calls, and also get access to all the courses that we have dropped and continue to drop month over month.
It's so cool too, man, because like as an athlete, you know, we were always big on the development of skills of a baseball player. Like anybody could go out and just buy the best players, but there's a development thing that needs to happen that actually, you know, the highest performing people are toxic to teams if they're not the highest of trust, right? So, you know, you guys have like, there's a saying that I love, that the person that you're most prone to help is the person that you used to be, right? So you got to tell your story, but like every single one of you guys came in broken. Like nobody came in winning, right? Like all of you came in broken and have totally recreated everything you're doing, and it's just multiplying like crazy, right?
Yeah, I came in literally 30 days, and I missed this part because there's so many things that I want to talk about. My dad ended up passing away about 2.5 years ago.
Gotcha.
He drowned in the pool. I
Wow.
flew out 30 days later because I got the call from Andy, and I flew out. And Jacob Hagerman had also lost his father at a very young age. Other people have just been through the ringer car business for 15 years, working from job to job, getting screwed over. Andy's been burned. So we've all just felt the burn, and we were tired of just not being able to trust people, not being able to have a team that we knew had our back, had an army of guys that were just that were all just one unit. We wanted to create that because when we went to train, that's what we felt. We felt like ourselves. We felt that we could be at peace, that we could also elevate and grow and go crazy together without any judgment and no glass ceilings, no upper limits. It was just almost a game of who can grow the fastest, who can make the next step and elevate to that next level faster.
Incredible. I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, man. I'm going to get back to the sheet here, right, and make sure because I know there is a lot of things that I know you want to talk about. So check this out. If we're going like if you want to talk about something, you just tell me right then. I'm saying it right now on the air, rocking and rolling. If you want to go a certain direction, you let me know. Here's my next question for you. Okay, so we talked about how you got your start. I know that, and by the way, folks, he's mentioned these events, and like you can catch Andy on a stage anywhere in the country. Like he's all over the place. They're gonna be in Nashville right here in a couple months, right? So, and when you guys travel, do you travel alone? Because I've seen it, and like it's crazy.
We travel with a team. We'll bring anywhere from 10 to 15 guys, and we'll have the rest of our crew kind of hold down the fortress. That way the whole team isn't out. But yeah, we'll roll with the whole crew of our guys. We'll bring the Macklin twins out, Ian, Evan. We'll bring out our guy Christopher Steinbrook, Sean Pollard. We'll bring all of our guys out. And we roll as a unit, man. And it's cool to see not only Andy being a speaker and training, but our entire team is emulating that of Andy to go and speak and train and to be on podcasts to pour into knowledge of people. And it's just amazing. So we travel everywhere and we grow everywhere together. And that's a big power. An individual can be beat, but a team can't be beat. And I think that's something that a lot of people gravitate towards Andy is because they're very curious on our culture. They're very curious on how he's been able to take a guy like me that was just a normal guy and then build me up to the man I am today. Also with all of our other 50 guys that have came from nothing and are getting built at insane speeds. We talked about compressing time frames, meaning like it probably would have taken me 10 years if I got lucky, if I found a good mentor, if I had the discipline, maybe to be able to be where I'm at right now in 3. And yeah, we travel everywhere together, man.
That's awesome. So, well, tell me about your next Master Closer event.
Yes, so our next Master Closer seminar is May 7th. It'll be out here in Scottsdale, Arizona at our main hub. And we cover everything from mindset to overcoming objections. We call battle games. So we'll go over different objections, whether that's automotive, insurance. Andy will teach on how to overcome them, the different strategies. Sometimes we'll go into specific word tracks that we'll give people to be able to close on the phone, in person, on the lot. Then we'll go into branding and marketing, teach on social media. Recently, we've actually been going into talking about almost like the home life, right? Andy, everybody likes the dynamic of Andy and Jacqueline and also our team. So we've been into a lot of leadership and yeah, we just cover a lot of great stuff. We switched up every single month. So we're super excited. We still got seats available. So if you want to come down, you're more than welcome. And yeah.
Folks, that was an invitation. If you're sleeping, wake up. Let's go. So how do they register? Let's get them registering right now. How do they register for you?
Yeah, you can shoot me a text at 540-840-3241. I can send you over a link with all of the information. We actually run a workout the day before, and we do a little meet and greet. So that way we can take pictures with Andy, with the team. We can we got food, and we just kind of hang out and kick it because on Sunday, on that day, on the 7th, we just train hard. We're running all day long. We provide you guys lunch, food, everything that you guys need. So, yeah, May 7th, you guys can shoot me a text, 540-840-3241, and I'll send you over a link with some more info.
Boom. All right. So talk to me about how you guys, so it's my note right here, finding your next level in business. Talk to me about how you guys are helping people do that.
I think a lot of it starts with clarity. I think a lot of people, they lack the clarity, meaning they're shooting from the hip. There's no calculated plan or strategy. There's no there's no backbone to what they're doing. And I think if you can sit down and identify I'll give you an example. Like, what are your KPIs? For those of you that are not in sales, that's your key performance indicators. So how many calls did you make? How many appointments set? How many showed? How many bought? What was your average cost per customer? And really breaking down the math of growing that business. And wherever you're at, whether that's you on your own starting out to just try and sell, or whether you're got a team of 30 guys, if you don't know your numbers, or if you don't have any clarity on where you're at, you're never going to hit that next deal, because that's like me trying to shoot a target that's somewhere in the woods in this realm, and I'm hoping something will stick. Clarity is an analogy of, if I can show you that target, well, guess what? Now it's only a matter of how good are you at shooting that gun? How good are you at your business, right? A lot of people, sometimes they think that they're very good at what they do, but when it comes to reality and they really sit down and look at it, they're not as good as they think that they are. And they have to go back to the drawing board, keep learning, keep stacking those skills that got you the growth in the first place, and doing more. But I think at any level, it starts with some clarity on knowing your numbers, knowing what your vision is, knowing where you want to go. And give an example. I think a lot of times once people hit a certain amount, whether that's $100,000 a month in revenue, $1 million a month in revenue from one stream, they tend to hop into a couple different businesses, and they try to develop all these different multiple streams. And instead of taking the 1 million a month business to 10 million, they'll go and start 4 others that do 1 million. And how you're going to really build something that's massive is going to take that long-term sacrifice and that clarity on your inside of your business. I think that's important, that you write down what that vision is, get clear on everything, the holes. We talk about leaks and opportunities. So what is costing me money inside of my business? Is my team not closing? Am I spending too much on ads? Am I not spending money on organic social media? Am I not training my guys? Is my systems and processes, are they lacking? What are my leaks in my business? And then also, what are my opportunities? So what are things that I can do to increase what I'm making, right? But it's like, if I had a bucket, Nick, and my business was this bucket, and I got this faucet and I'm just filling it with water every single day. I'm filling it up. But I got holes. Some are huge, some are the size of a quarter, some are pin-sized little holes. Well, if I don't start attacking those holes from the biggest first, that bucket will never get full. Every single day I'll have to fill that bucket up with water. And at the end of the day, it'll be empty again. Instead of sitting there plugging those leaks leak by leak. And again, it's never perfect. But my goal is, I want to add another bucket and another bucket and another bucket. And I don't want to sit there and keep trying to refill this same bucket. So that clarity, identifying your leaks and your opportunities inside of your business, will help you at that next level financially. Also, that momentum will carry through to that clarity, to enjoy more on what you're doing. Because if you don't have clarity, you're going to be lost. You're going to go down the rabbit hole. And I think a lot of people, they don't like to hear this. They wanted to hear some specific, amazing strategy. But without that clear vision, day in and day out, and telling your team, telling your people, keeping the culture tight, the things that you held out in the beginning, you can never let that die out. And guess what? At every next level in business requires more work. Welcome.
That's right.
More money, more problems. Welcome to growing. Welcome to delegating. Welcome to the game.
That's right. You mentioned about knowing your destination, knowing your targets. Well, like, first of all, the greatest shooter of anything is the person who can hit the smallest target, right? So it's got to be a very specific thing. And you're like, we all use a GPS every single day. I wonder where I'd end up if I just typed in Nashville, Tennessee in my GPS as the final destination. You know what I'm saying? The smallest target possible. And then it's going to tell me how long it's going to take to get there. It's going to recommend what time I should leave. It's going to tell me all the turns. It's going to give me 3 or 4 alternate routes. If I get off route, it's going to recorrect. It's going to tell me now what the new time is. And then I'm going to make decisions on, do I need to fill up with gas? Where should I fill up with gas? Or power my car, charge my car? All those things based on knowing your actual destination, right? And we use it every day, yet we walk into business and we're just like, I want to be successful. Drives me crazy.
The specifics that you named off are what I love, because without going and recharging, gassing back up, going to take a piss, it's like we make these jokes. That's what's going to help you grow, and inside of your business is focusing on those details. If I wanted to go to a specific location, my goal is take down the sales training space, every industry. Well, where am I going? Who are the best people in this space now? Can I study them? Can I master them? Can I become better than them? What areas are they leaking in that I can beat them at? I have to be very, very specific, because if I'm just shooting from the hip, we're going to kill it. We're going to go and we're going to dominate all this. Well, behind the scenes, behind that on the camera, we have specific plans. We've studied every single person. We've made relationships with the people, the consumers inside of the industries on what is lacking inside of that space. Right. We've taken our time really studying the different industries, because that's our specific goal.
That's right.
And if you want specific amounts of money in your bank account, you better get specific on the goals and the things required to get that.
Folks, once again, we're hanging with the great Danny Klein, the executive sales manager of the Elliott Group. Elliott247.com is the website. On social, at official Danny Klein. Danny, that leads us right into my next question, talking about finding or building a bulletproof mindset to go further. Bring it.
I think it is one thing. Everybody's, what's your morning routine? What's the difference? How do you guys get in shape? Everybody wants to know all the details. It starts and actually ends with discipline. If going back to kind of the physical, but if I can be disciplined about showing up every single day, making sure that I make the calls, that I make sure I hold the meeting, that I make sure that I deliver for the clients, that I make sure that when support comes in and I have somebody that's upset, that I'm going through and I'm getting to them fast. It starts with all those things. I mean, it's the most important thing.
And that's a great way to lead right into my next question, talking about increasing sales. You mentioned KPIs earlier, but the Marcus Lemonis said at the end of the day, you can diagnose any problem in business to 3 things. It's either the people, right, or the product, or the process, and process is another word for framework, right? So everything, and the process is at the end of the day what the customer experience is all about, right? And making that a great experience for them. So talk to me about frameworks to sell to literally anybody.
Yes. So I'll give you an example. It starts, the foundation of how all of our leads, all of our business, all of these things starts with value up front. They start with value up front. So the people that we're trying to get in front of, the people that we're trying to sell to build our business, we are actually already selling them on us before they even before they pay us for the training, before they've made the payment. So it starts with generating those leads. It starts with delivering that value first, aka making sure that you have that brand. But on top of that, then once you first make that initial phone call, I think where a lot of salespeople really drop the ball. I know they don't have that love and that care factor, that motivation to move them to be able to want more. I actually have a motivation step inside of our sales process, meaning like literally when I get on the phone, I'm gonna go through, we qualify them, we ask them what's going on, where are they at, how'd you find Andy, how long you been watching them, we go through qualifying questions, we build some of the rapport, we're having fun. And basically, once we kind of figure out that, there is literally, I'm going to give them a pep talk. I'm going to tell them, hey, you're 24, you came from nothing, you had a shitty past, you had a shitty situation, you're built for more, I came from the same place, you could do it too. We're going to motivate people to be able to take action, because guess what? If I can close that person, right, if I can close them on their next level, on that next threshold that they're trying to get past, then guess what? what is going to follow. If they already believe and they're already sold on our product, because generally they've watched some of it, they're aware of who we are. There's someone that told them that we were the people. So when I'm getting in contact, they are already somewhat sold. I have to close them more or less on believing that they can actually do it, that they can become this person. So I believe we have a motivation. It sounds crazy, but I think the little bit of this, the sales industry needs that. I think sometimes we're so serious.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most fun parts of that process, because that little bit can almost expedite the rest of the process on doing everything, and can avoid sometimes the 2 or 3 or 4 call follow-up, depending on what you're trying to sell, whether it's a $300 course, $1,000 seminar, or a $50,000 coaching, or even a CRM build out that we do. That's going to be the big difference, that motivation stage on closing them, that they can do it. This is what they need. But yeah, that's going to be huge, that motivation process.
Absolutely.
Missing in a huge piece of everything. And also, obviously, you have to be sharp at understanding your top 10 objections, knowing your where your customers are coming from, knowing the script, having these things down are obviously they're a bare minimum and a necessity. And as soon as you can get to that point, you'll understand, okay, you have more awareness of where someone's at if they can't buy, right? Or if they don't buy, because you've been able to have a conversation and navigate all these different things. So yeah, it starts with obviously the basics, but I like that little motivation step inside of the process without going deep down, because we have so many different products. We have a CRM that we build out for sales companies that we white label. We have tickets. We have a membership that's $100 a month. So sometimes there's a lot of one call closes. Sometimes there's deals that take 6 months. But inside of that, if you can make a friend and you can motivate somebody to do more, and you can impact them on a 10 to 15 minute phone call, they'll answer when you call back. They'll answer and be excited to be a part of your community. They'll feel like they've already done business, because I know that they're already watching and training. Just a matter of, when are you going to come over? Do you trust us enough with whatever it is to be able to make a payment to start actually going to the gym? It's like a guy, if he likes running, right? Well, if he's running all the time, if he's already like watching videos on running shoes and all this stuff, and he's watching somebody, well, it's only gonna be a matter of time till maybe the guy that he's watching on YouTube, that he wants to go and meet up with that person and go take a jog, because he's already a fan of running, of being an athlete. So it's just a matter of waiting for those ducks to align.
Man, and one of my favorite people is Bradley. I think he is like, how can you not have a good time around that guy? He always makes you better. He challenges you to think. He's a great thinker. I think that's one of the things that that people don't value enough when they think about Brad, is how great of a thinker he is. And let me tell you a story about the first time I met Brad. It was like in 2020, and at that time in the insurance, I mean, gosh, even up to 2020, the insurance space was not something you would consider like a great marketing space, right? So we were one of the few people on social at the time. We were killing it. I was killing it with static images, right? Not even using video yet. And he asked me, he said, "Why aren't you using video?" And I was like, "Because, static images are doing great." He was like, "But how much greater would you be doing if you use videos?" And I was like, "That's fair." We did some videos immediately, and not long after that, I went out to Vegas and was on his podcast, Dropping Bombs. And that inspired, like, a lot of what you see today happened from that moment, right? And I watched him, like, when they first said, "Hey, do you know who Bradley was?" Honestly, I didn't know that it was a white dude in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was somebody else. And then I met him, and then I've watched him grow his brand. I mean, it's massive now. And like, we'll go to Titans games here in Nashville, and people want to stop and, "Hey, you're the real Brad Lee," and take photos. It's cool. It's awesome. But I've watched him do that. So talk to me a little bit about, I know you guys are crushing it with that as well, growing your brand and network and how to monetize it. Talk to me about what you guys are working on with that and how you're getting guys started.
Well, one thing on Brad Lee, before I go into that, one thing I think that Brad has done so amazing is he's consistent, and he knows who he is. I think content and building your brand starts with your specific skill set, knowing exactly who you are. on the internet, I think there's just a lot of posers. They're trying to be something. You can tell that they're not being authentic. They don't have the heart. There's no creativeness in it. You can tell just by watching a couple of videos or looking at it that their intentions on building their brand are selfish. They're not trying to just be themselves. You can tell it's a short-term game versus the long-term. And you look at Brad's Instagram, thousands and thousands of videos, hundreds of podcasts that he's been on.
Yep.
And he's consistent with who he is. He's hilarious. He's made tons of friends, his relationships. He preaches what he does. He preaches what he does. 3 things I'll give you on brand. And I've taken a lot away from Brad. I'm one of those guys where I can almost, I'm just going to copy it. If I see someone that's killing it, that's has a brand, I'm just going to copycat them. I'm one of those people where if I see a guy that says something I like, I'm going to copy it. But 3 things. I talk about the 3 C's. Consistency. So consistently post, like, comment, shoot that podcast. Consistently take a new approach. Be consistent in all areas of your social media and be consistent with yourself. Be consistent in your relationships. A lot of people think the brand comes from just the content. It comes from shaking the hands. It comes from being in person. It comes from the networking. So consistency. Number 2 is clarity. What is your message? Who are you? Be clear on who you are, what your message is, what your company does, who you are. Like, there needs to be some type of niche. Hormozy says the riches are in the niches. If I can't look at someone's profile and know exactly what they do and have something very specific all the way down with whether it's they're into teddy bears. If I can't go to that thing and see that there's just thousands of videos on teddy bears, they're not focused enough. They're not focused enough. Whatever industry, and I use a teddy bear thing, but it's like, dude, whatever it is, people want to go and they go from the teddy bears to stuffed animals to now they do everything. And it's like, you got to be specific on who you are and what you do. So consistency, clarity. The 3rd one, which is the most important one, you cannot survive without this if you don't build it and take care of it, is the community. How you're going. Imagine this. AI takes over everything. What's going to reign all? The community that you have, the community that you've built, the fans that you've created, the people that you've helped. Without you pouring into, let's say you have a Facebook group where people are liking and commenting or people are DMing you. I've seen accounts that we've helped grow on social media where they don't get any inbound DMs. They're trying to figure out how to grow it. But I'm like, well, you don't respond to the DMs that you've had. You don't engage with anybody. You don't even engage with people that you do follow. So you're not making any friends. All it is just a digital version of reality. Yeah. And if you're not willing to send a little like, send a little comment, generate that conversation, that community will never get built. How you're going to grow is taking the little guys, building them up to be your big guys, to be kind of, your fans. So consistency, clarity, and community. I think community is one of the biggest things that will be able to grow. Specifically, a coaching company, I see people with communities that absolutely smash it. Yeah. But communities for everything. If you look at some of the biggest brands, people that have communities, you look at brands like Supreme, and I can name off countless examples, but they have a community behind people that every single time something drops, they want that Supreme. Because they've created this community on the brand, and it's not because of, doesn't matter what the price is. Doesn't matter how long it takes. You got to wait in line. Doesn't matter about anything because these people have something in common. You've created a culture behind your movement, behind your brand. There has to be something bigger than the logo. There has to be something bigger than the logo and saying, hey, this is the brand.
That's right. Man, it's so important too. Like I think. Social media is just another version of just a digital storefront at the end of the day for your business or your brand or whatever. And one of the things that, we're constantly pushing our message on to people that you have this device and people are spending 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on it every single day. And I feel like if my customers are on there and they see somebody else and not me, my customers are going to be working with the people that they see because they're building trust. They're getting to know those people. They're building relationships just like you're talking about on those things. So like, at the end of the day, I love it when people say, man, Nick, I get on social and all I see is your stuff. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I want more.
Dude, it is everything. I literally got my start. There's a Facebook group that we have that you guys can also join. It's called Andy Elliott Sales Nation. Andy Elliott Sales Nation. You can look it up on Facebook and you can join it. We got about 10,000 people. It's a private Facebook group. So if you want to join, make sure you have a profile picture. Make sure you type in, answer the questions, because we don't just let everybody in. We only want the people that are serious, that want to be in our group, because you see a lot of Facebook groups. They got 50,000 members, but they don't have anybody engaging in the community.
That's right.
We got about 10,000 people, and we have tons of engagement, tons of people helping each other. Our community has created value because maybe there's a simple question that they need to ask me, right? One of our people that are training. Well, if they can't get a hold of me, let's say I'm on a training here for an hour, I'm on a podcast, they can go on the Facebook group, message, make a post, and they can get the answer in 30 seconds just off our community.
That's right.
There is value in that. But I built my beginnings in this company off of our Facebook group, providing people those value and getting on calls with people from our community because they were already sold. They already liked us. It was just a matter of pushing them over the edge to go and do more.
And folks, there's always those folks, the naysayers, the haters that are going to be like, oh man, it's not going to work for me, yada, yada, yada. Check it out, guys. Right now, currently, buckle up, Jim. Are you ready for a good number? Strap in. Right now, the Elliott Group, Andy, Danny, Jackie, and all the rest of the team is currently training 10,000 dealerships and businesses and over 400,000 salespeople right now. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So you can argue about anything you want to, but it's hard to argue with results, isn't it?
I agree. I 100% agree. And for everybody out there that is trying to build massive numbers or trying to build their business, I'll tell you one thing. It does not take time. Anybody says, I understand, hey, you got to have aggressive patience and, it does take time. But the only question is, how much time are you going to allow it to take? If you work and you're selling and you're involved and you're building like there is no time left, then you will, again, take the time frame of it takes most people. Like people will say, it only takes most people 10 years, so I'm doing a little bit better. I'm on track to do it in 8 or 7. Well, what's to prevent you from going and doing it in 2 or 3? You can take that time frame and compress it based off the skills that you get, based off the mentality, how good you're able to build on all the things, on the branding, on the culture, on hitting that next level in business. Those things are all important.
And folks, just like he's preaching today, I'm going to make sure you guys know that we're leaving it all on the field for you today, right? We're giving you everything that we got. So as we bring this episode, as we start to bring the sucker to a close, Danny is going to give you guys some tips on those of you that are like maybe on the ledge or trying to figure out what you want to do next, or like, folks, like make a decision right now. He's going to talk to you guys about how important it is, and even some tips on how to have a clear daily strategy to crush your numbers or whatever it is you're trying to crush that day.
Yes. Well, guys, I want to start with this. The belief is going to come before the paychecks. The belief is going to come before the paychecks. So what does that mean? Well, if you don't believe that you are worth more money, if you don't believe that you're worth $10,000, $20,000, $1 million a year, whatever that number is for you, you will never obtain it no matter what situation you put yourself in. Because if you believe that you're worth it, if you believe that you're worth more, well, guess what? You'll go and attack it. You'll say, hey, if this guy's reached out, if I'm in sales, if I like the way that this guy's speaking, if I like the way that Andy and the Elliott Group trains, then I'm going to reach out and whatever it takes, I'm going to pay the price to be able to go and get that. The belief comes before the paychecks. And guys, if you want to scale and consistently have a clear strategy, well, without that belief, no strategy, it doesn't matter. Your strategy is going to be a combination of building that community. It's going to be a strategy of being consistent on social media. It's going to be the strategy of building that community, making sure that you're in your DMs. There's your sales calls. There's your revenue right there. Money can fix a lot of problems. So if you're in there and you're consistently DMing, you're consistently on the phones, It's a huge thing. So what I'd recommend is have that clear strategy. I want you to lay out right now for everybody listening that's in sales or has a business. Well, let me ask you a question first. What are your KPIs? If you have if you're a 100% sales organization, meaning that if your company doesn't sell, whether it's B2C, B2B, I don't care what it is. If you don't know what your numbers are, you'll never scale it. So how many calls are you making? How many texts? How many DMs? How much does it cost you to acquire a lead? How much was a lead spend? What is your average cart value? What's your lifetime value of the customer? If you don't know those things, we can't go anywhere. I can't give you any strategy. So if you start with those things to understand, hey, here are my KPIs, my key performance indicators, I can now say, okay, cool. Well, you've made 100 phone calls. You got in contact with 30. You set 4 appointments. Well, looks like you're not closing. You're not closing at any ratio that's going to get you the money that you need. I would rather put more time in teaching you how to close than saying, okay, let's make another 200 phone calls, right? Or let's make an extra 300. And then we can do that. But I would recommend let's practice our closing, right? And everybody has a different issue at hand. So the only way to attack that is getting clear on where my holes are, where my leaks are in my business. And once you can visualize that, because like for us, we have a good, we got good closing ratios. We've trained our guys. So it's just a matter of like, hey, more leads would be great. Okay. So we have to figure out what is our average cart value to making sure our lead spend is all in the right places. There's different issues at different levels. But if you know your numbers across the board on everything, if you've done your analytics, if your guys are tracking things in the CRM, if those things are online, then guess what? Now you can start to develop and attack a plan in place. But remember, again, going back to the first thing, if you're just a frontline sales guy, if you're a business owner that's doing less than $200 to $250,000, $500,000 a year, you got to believe a little bit more. You got to push a little bit harder. You got to take that jump and decide to take that risk, delegate, and understand that like everything isn't going to always be perfect. You're going to have to take that chance and delegate it. It's going to hit that next level if you consistently train and you consistently get in front of people. But the reason I say the belief, the reason why I go back to it so hard is it's like the stacking level. Well, people will try to work on their KPIs, their systems, their ads. They'll try to work on their team and all these things, but their belief level isn't psycho. It isn't to a psycho level of belief that they're willing to die for, that they're willing to go crazy. That now bleeds into all these different levels that are going to make your business successful, which is the phones, the closing skills. You're going to go harder. You're going to show up later. You're going to be able to study, invest more. Because if I know that undoubtedly that I'm going to make it at any fucking cost, well, guess what? I'm going to stay later. I'm going to make sure that I make that extra meeting with my team. I'm making sure that I spend more money than I wanted to on the system for my entire company because I know that in 2 years it'll pay out. That long-term vision, that business mindset is critical over having the salesperson, because you're all you are in is you're just in a bigger hamster wheel. You have a little bit more freedom to go and leave and come when you go, but you're just in a bigger hamster wheel. And your goal is to escape that race. You don't want to jump into another race. You want to escape it and build it for you and your team. So the belief, the clarity, KPIs starts with all of the things that we've kind of talked about over the last hour here.
Man, folks, you've always heard you got to believe it to see, or to see it to believe it, but it's backwards. You got to believe it to see it, right? You have to, especially when it comes to your own recreation. And around here, like, I don't like quitters, man. I hate quitters. Well, I don't hate anybody. I shouldn't say that, but I don't like quitters. I do not like quitters, but I do like finishers, and they look and smell a lot alike. But finishing something is way different than quitting something, right? Because, like, look, man, beginnings hide themselves in ends all day long. But, like, the beginning of something great came because you finished something, not because you quit something, right? So understand that, folks.
It's okay to fail. It is 100% okay to fail. People have it backwards. They think that they need to have, again, everything perfect. They're paralyzed with the fear of failure. Well, let me tell you, failing is good. Fail faster, fail more often. Fail as much as possible. The faster that you can fail, the faster you can get to actually making those wins. But like, quitting is not okay. Failing is okay. Quitting is not. Always remember that. And if you put that and you sear that on your heart, guess what? You'll never forget it. You'll understand that when you get knocked down in the fight, that it's not over, that you've just, you failed at getting that jab, you failed at getting the right positioning, you failed at getting your team in the right spot for the market, whatever it may be, whatever the analogy that we create, you have to know that.
I love it. I freaking love it, man. This has been Dynamite, Danny. Is there anything else you want to leave the folks with before we bring this to a close?
Man, anything I'll tell you guys is, man, just have fun. I think the key to all of this, as we're serious and we're intense about hitting the next level in business, and we talk about all the strategies, if you can have fun and you can be grateful day in and day out, no matter if you're not making the money you want to make now, your situation isn't great, if you can find that correct perspective, you will be able to not only pour more in. If I'm grateful and I'm having fun, even though I'm making $3,000 a month, if I'm in the right boat, okay, if I'm in sales, if I have a business, if I have something that can yield me more, if I acquire the skills required to go and make that money. So I would just tell you guys, like, just understand that everything is obtainable with the right mindset. Everything is obtainable. I've came from absolutely nothing, from being 19, 20 years old, college dropout, sleeping on a couch, 1-bedroom apartment with my father, grew up, nothing, shit show sandwich. If you guys have came from nothing, sales will pave your way out. You guys will be able to grow. So stack your skills, be grateful, have fun. And if you're doing those two things, you will create momentum. The momentum will also turn into this cycle where you will make more money, you will have more fun, and it's just this never-ending cycle. You'll be happier, and if you're happier doing what you love, you'll make more. You'll understand that you want to do this for the rest of your life.
That's right.
I see a lot of salespeople, they don't commit in sales for, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do in a year. Well, I'm like, well, for this 1 year, why don't you just commit to doing sales, learn as much as possible?
Yeah.
So that way, in another year, when you do have another opportunity arise, you would have the skill sets to get there and take that opportunity when it comes. So be grateful, have fun, and just know that long-term vision. If you're putting in all the right work, getting around the right people, come into a Master Closer seminar and come and learn with the guys. We'll help you guys get there. And guys, let's kill it. It was a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Nick.
Danny, thank you so much, man. Folks, we had the amazing Danny Klein, the executive sales manager of the Elliott Group, joining me from Scottsdale, Arizona today. Anything you want to know about inquiring and working with this amazing group, folks, like, check it out. The world is a better place because of what they're doing. I'm just telling you, I promise. And you can go check them out on the web at Elliott247.com. Catch Danny on social media at official Danny Klein. Danny, thanks again, man. I can't thank you enough, brother. It was awesome. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.